Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. Real quick, if you hear me sucking on a cough drop, is I have a brief cold. And so I was hacking up. So if you hear a cough drop, that is why. The New Mutants, number 29 from 1985. We have the setup Chris Claremont had with the Gladiators. And here we have a cover. We have Sunspot fighting this bull goatish creature. So Sunspot versus the Gladiators to the death. The cover is done by Bill Sienkiewicz as well as the interior. And I love this splash page. So the title is Meanwhile Back at the Mansion here. But look at this. It's just this here. There's apparently like a snowstorm or something. And look at this. Just nothing here. And it's just this portion here. This is just beautifully done. Chris Claremont is our writer. Bill Sienkiewicz is the artist, pencils and inks. Orzechowski has a partner with the letters, and Glynis Oliver is coloring, and then Nascenti and Jim Shooter do the editorial. And so, Sunspot and Magma have been kidnapped, and Cannonball and Magic are on their trail. They were having fun, probably at the pool at Xavier's, and so going through the airport as they everybody's kind of, this is just beautiful. And so he lands through, and he's like, anybody see a red panel truck go by? And this guy says, sure. It's out on the flight lane. And so Cannonball goes out and looks at the snow, and so he's like, oh, crud. Meanwhile, the truck is going to run him over, and the airplane's taking off, and so Sam is going to use his power and go through the truck. He's invulnerable. And so he's like, what'd you do with our friends? He goes, what friends? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And Elena goes, the jet, they must be on that plane. Why didn't I realize that right off? Hold on to the goon, Ileana. Sam, wait. They're airborne. What can you do? And so, yeah, hero, what can you do? He thinks. And so off he goes. Beautiful vertical panel. Straight up like a rocket. That is really cool. So there's a camera on the back of this airplane. He sees Cannonball. He goes, that kid won't quit. His incredible powers, I've never seen anything like him. Too bad he wasn't on our shopping list. The boss could use talent like that. C'est la vie. That means such is life. And so he's close enough. Let's see how he handles the face full of afterburner, which hits him, and Cannonball falls. And he's like, oh crap. But Ileana saves him, uses one of the stepping desks, and he's in limbo here. And so, oops, sorry here. Cannonball says, I owe him, and she owes him, and she goes, I don't keep score. And so she's like, I thought we might enjoy a private chat with our guest before handing him over to the police. And the guy says, what is this place? Where am I? And she's like, and Cannonball's like, limbo, chump. Now we're asking the questions. And Magic says, I strongly suggest you cooperate. To coin a phrase, we really do have ways of making you talk. Big hairy deal. I'm supposed to be scared of a couple of skinny geeks. Do your worst, sweetheart. You don't get a word from me. And so she brings Sim, and he's like, I'll talk. So, and so he eventually talks. It just says sometime later. And so, uh, let's see. Sam says, we can't do this on our own. It's crazy. And Eliana says, what choice have we? The professor and the X-Men are away, aren't they always? By the time we gather everybody, Bobby and Amara could be anywhere. Sam, they could be dead. Our best bet is to teleport us after them. We might even beat that jet to LA. And Sam says, you can't control your power over those kind of distances. And Eliana says, I can too. I've been practicing. And Cannonball's like, famous last words. And she's like, you got a better idea? You're the team leader. You come up with something. And he's the leader when Danielle Magic is not Magic, I'm sorry. Mirage isn't around. And Sim is like, while the Sim's mistress is away, you'll be left in Sim's tender care. Looking forward to that. Gonna be a lot of fun. Of course, she don't come back, or worse, come back mad. And the guy's like, oh. And so we're in Los Angeles, and they show up. You think that they'd go somewhere and get some clothes. Sam's like, could have wished a place less conspicuous to land. And so she goes, Eliana, look at the paper. Look at the date. It's been a week since the kidnapping. You shifted us in time as well as space. And she's like, I'll take us back to Limbo and try again. Of course, I have covered the Magic Limited series. It is in the X-Men playlist, the X-Men Universe playlist. And we discovered there that she can transport in time as well. So she can move forward and back. And she says, I'll take a slim and try again. And he screams, no. Best leave well enough alone. Hang on, girl, while I'll blast this out of here. And so she goes, I'm sorry, Sam. I should have listened, but I was so sure. It's done, partner. No use moaning. I know you meant well. Nothing to do but pick up the pieces and start again. For that, we're going to need help. Luckily, I think I got a pretty fair idea where to get some. And so they're heading probably off Malibu coast. And so they ring the doorbell, and this is Strong Guy, or will be Strong Guy from X Factor. I think Guido is his name. And he's like, this is private property. You brats are trespassing. Take a hike or I toss you out with the garbage. And Magic is like, try it, blimp. That smart mouth is gonna take you far, baby doll, like to the moon. And Sam's like, wait. And he's like, Mimi, tell Leela Sam Guthrie's here. And then he's quiet. And then Guido's like, why didn't you say so in the first place? Make yourselves comfortable. And so here comes Leela. She's a teleporter as well, and gives Sam a big kiss. In the playlist, I have New Mutants Annual 1, which is her first appearance here. And so, of course, when they kiss, Elena's like, yuck. And he says, wish this was a social visit. And she's like, not half as much as I do, lover. We need to talk somewhere in private, he says. And no problem. She snaps her finger, and they're in her interdimensional home. And which is in a Dyson sphere. And so for details, New Mutants Annual 1. And so Sam's like, Leela, geez. And she says, nobody's gonna spy us on here, love. And so here, where are we? How did you, what's happened to us? Oh dear. Meet one of my session singers. My teleport field must have carried her as well. Apologies. Her name is Allison Blair, and of course we know who Allison Blair as Dazzler. So, in her comic book series, she was outed as a mutant, and her career took a dive, and so So she basically says, what's the problem? And Leela's making the moves on him, and look at magic here, or and so she goes, they've been out for a swim, and these goons grabbed Bobby and Amara, which are Sunspot and Magma, and then got away. And Magic says, from the prisoner they learned, they worked for the Gladiators, which is based in Los Angeles. And they hope that with her connections in the industry, she might be able to give them a line on who these people are and where they're based. Leela says, I wish I could, Eliana. I know how it feels to be stolen and sold, but I only just arrived in town myself to cut a new album. That name means nothing to me. And Dazzler says, it does to me. Your friends are in deadly danger. I know all about the gladiators because I used to be one of them. And so we now move forward, and we've got Sunspot here, and he wants Amara. He's threatening to destroy everything, and he thinks that they know that he's bluffing because he hasn't been in the sun, which is how he gets his powers, kind of like Superman. And so this guy comes through here. You spoil it for a fight, fool. Try me. And so his name is Axe, and they met in New Mutants #7, which I have covered. Last I mentioned, I have a New Mutants playlist. And so Sunspot uses the last bit of his power and punches him. But he's invulnerable, and so there's the hologram, and this is the guy here. I'm Alexander Flynn, and I proudly welcome you to the ranks of the Gladiators. Forgive the matter of my introduction, but I wanted a brief demonstration of your prowess and abilities, which Axe here was only too happy to provide. He doesn't at all like you, lad. From what I've seen, you'll prove a valuable addition to our roster. I eagerly await your debut in the arena. He's like, I won't play in your filthy game, dog. There's no way you can force me. And he says, but there is, dear boy. You will do whatever I say, and your lovely companion will tell you why. And so here's Amara. And he says, are you all right? And she answers, thus far. They desire us to fight for them, Roberto, eventually to kill or be killed for their amusement. And he's like, I know, I heard. Flynn has taken children captive, some hardly more than babies. He calls them runaways, youngsters who have fled home and family with none to care whether they live or die. If we refuse to do his bidding, he will take them. He will take our place in the arena. Sorry, the kids will take their place in the arena. And she says, oh, Berto, they will be slaughtered. They talk for a bit and decide, that they really don't have choice. And he says, like it or not, he has to play by the rules. He's talking to Sunspot here. And you do, children, do as I say. A tough life, but I guarantee that before too long, and a lot sooner than you think, you'll come to love it. And so now we're back at Leela's condo, and we're going to get a little bit of the Beauty and the Beast limited series, which I have not covered. It featured Dazzler and the Beast. And so Dazzler says that she would still be with the Gladiators if it hadn't been for Beast, who helped rescue her. And she goes, when it was over, we thought the Gladiators were out of business forever. Of course, that's the Beauty and the Beast limited series, which I think was written by Jim Shooter, if I remember correctly. And she says, I shouldn't be surprised to discover we were wrong. And Sam is like, except now they're kidnapping kids. And Leela says, you miss that life, don't you, Allie? She goes, no, I hated the crowds, the cheering, standing in center stage, being the best. And then she says, yes, she did miss it. Life's been so hard since the world learned I'm a mutant. Most people won't hire me. I have to live, uh, I have to disguise myself to lie just to find a place to live. So, as we all know, the X-Men are always been like the representation of oppressed people, anybody that feels oppressed, but it just sometimes doesn't make a lot of sense because unlike Nightcrawler, for example, who shows his difference in what he looks like, most of these people can pass on as regular folk. Nobody knows they're mutants. So it's just it's a silly it's been always one of the silliest things in comic books, but it does really work well. And so um she continues here. I've become a freak and outcast. I feel like I'm being punished for something that isn't my fault. I'm not evil, Leela. I've never intentionally hurt anyone. Why do people hate me? At least among the gladiators, I was accepted, completely without reservation. I had a place. I had worth. The camaraderie was real and special and good. I can't deny that, and I won't forget it. The nature of human blood sports, none becomes more precious than those beside whom you risk your life. And that was Leela. You speaking from experience, Leela? You heard my song, Sam. I know where the arena used to be, but they're sure to have moved. And Leela says, leave that to me, Ali. I make a lot of money for my record company. They'll do anything to keep me happy. Guido, I want tickets for the next Gladiators bout. And he says, no problem. And she gives a wink here. So here we're back in the Bermuda Triangle, and Magneto is sort of developing a relationship with Alistair. I forgot her name, but nothing really comes of it. And so he's fixing up the island here, and they're talking, and he's not feeling well. But suddenly, you can see them here kissing. Suddenly, Xavier shows up here. He's contacting them telepathically, and she says something's wrong. He looks worse shape than you, and Xavier says Beyonder. He's on Earth. America tried to warn the X-Men. Too weak. No one heard. Save Captain America and you. Gather heroes, Avengers, Fantastic Four, all you can. Lead X-Men in my place. Fate of the Earth of humanity in your hands. So, and she says, "What is a Beyonder?" And he says, "Armageddon." As for the Beyonder, he's no one in particular, save God, perhaps. And this is, of course, right before Secret Wars 2, which was about to come out. And Secret Wars 2 isn't really that good. So, but they were definitely trying to make it seem that way. All right. We're going to finish up here, and we're back in Los Angeles here. And here comes Lila's limousine here, and we see here someone's in hiding, I think, here. So we've got Sam. This has to be Magic. So this has to be Dazzler here. And so this guy here says it's a private party. He says, we're invited. You ain't on my list. You don't get in. I suggest in our case you make an exception. And he's like, okay. And so, Blessed Master, word has been received from the arena. Dazzler has returned. And he's like, splendid. How utterly delightful. I must behold this miracle for myself, he says. Slaves project a holographic image of the arena. This calls for a celebration. Nothing terribly fancy. Bring champagne and a light snack. Caviar, squab, a roast. Well. What have we here? Focus on Miss Cheney's party at once, dolt, or I'll flog the flesh from your wretched bones. And we'll see who this is. This is going to be a good reveal, I believe, next issue. But we're not going to see at this moment who this is. Sam Guthrie, leader of the New Mutants. Better and better. They must have come to the aid of their captive friends. Look at this crowd. Too rich, too bored, too desperate for thrills. And so, alert the gladiators. We have most special guests. I want them given a show they will never forget. I will end with it will end with their joining us. And so Ileana's like, how pathetic these people are. Um, or is that Dazzler? Okay, that must be Dazzler. I don't know. And so you can see that the event's about to start. And so here we go. And we have a shape changer and this guy here, and they're fighting. And she knows him, and she's like, Ivich. And so that was Dazzler in hiding. And so Sam's like, Allie, don't. You'll blow our cover, which they already knew. So she uses her power to dazzle this guy. And he's like, I knew you'd come back. Your light show won't hold Ray long. And he whacks it. And she goes, no, Ivich, I didn't save you just so you could murder him. And he's like, what do you think we're here for? You know, so now it has begun. And so next thing you know, Magma here uses her power. And the New Muses do get involved. But suddenly, mutants, heed my words and obey. And you can see the ceiling is being ripped off. I am Magneto. It's really Magneto, but people say Magneto, but it's really Magneto. It's a magnet with an O, Magneto. Anyway, he says, I have come at the behest of your mentor to summon you to the defense of the world. Time is fleeting. We have none to waste. Let those who will join me step forward. To those who will not hinder us, interfere in any way at your peril. And Sam's like, Magneto, he's a villain, but sometimes something in his voice makes me believe him. Sunspot, come on, there's our ticket out of this mess. And he says, you go, Cannonball, we cannot. We must stay with the Gladiator, comrades. We have good reason. And she says, you can't mean that. Trust us, Magic, I beg you. As you do what you must, so shall we. And so Magneto says, their choice is made, lad. There's no more you can do. Bull, we might have saved them given a decent chance. But whatever's going on, mister, it better be important, because if you're spinning a line, he says, you will see, Cannonball, you will learn. And it's to be continued in Secret Wars 2, which I will not be covering, and then back in New Mutants number 30 for the singer and her song. New Mutants number 29 by Chris Claremont and Bill Sienkiewicz. Like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.